Welcome back to the Not Daily video, everybody. I'll be going over my NBA power rankings. I've done an NFL predicting every team's record. I want to do something like that for the NBA, but that's a lot more unpredictable because upsets happen more often. There's like 10 times as much games. So I'm just going to do my power rankings, going over which teams I think are the best to the worst. This is right now. As of, I think it's the 2nd of September. I could be wrong, I think it's the 2nd of September. So it's as of this day. This is after the Donovan Mitchell trade. Maybe more moves will happen. Who knows? Let's just start it off. Number 30, San Antonio Spurs. Keldon Johnson could be very good, even though they don't really have any stars yet. Keldon Johnson could become a 20-point per game scorer. They don't have any certified all-stars. And I think they have a good chance at making at running for the that one guy, forget his name, for the draft that everyone's trying to tank for. I think they're the worst team in the league, just looking at their roster wise. Moving on, we have the OKC Thunder. They went down significantly after the Chet Holmgren injury. If it weren't for that, they would probably be around 25 because they have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They have Josh Giddey. If you had Chet Holmgren today, I think this team could be great. They don't have it, so this will probably just be another year of tanking for the Thunder. Moving on, we have the Orlando Magic. I know they just got Paolo Banchero, and outside of him, they don't have any, good players, Like, they have Cole Anthony, who is underrated. They have Markelle Fultz, who's been all right. They have Wendell Carter Jr., who's all right. No one too significant outside of Paolo Banchero, though. Moving on, we have the Houston Rockets. They have Jabari Smith Jr. and Jalen Green. Two guys. Jalen Green should take a significant leap this season after starting off slow at the beginning of 2021 and taking a leap at the end of the season. Now he should become even better, and Jabari Smith should be a stud. Moving on, we have the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers have Tyrese Halliburton and Miles Turner, two very good players. Miles Turner is amazing defensively. Tyrese Halliburton is a stud. They could be maybe a play-in at the best. Though honestly, every season since they made it so that teams outside the top four projected to get the number one overall pick have a higher chance of making it in, there has been a team that slipped in. If it was the Pelicans or the Kings this past year, I think the Pacers could sneak the number one overall pick in. I think this is going to be a year of tanking and not a great year for Indiana overall. Moving on with the Utah Jazz. Honestly, they could definitely do better than this. They could make a playing game because they still have Mike Conley. They still have now they have Colin Sexton, and they saw Bojan Bogdanovic. Not the worst team in the world, even though they're getting older and not the best. They got 11 first. They got 8 first-round picks. A lot of young guys. It was actually 9 because of the Royce O'Neal trade. Out of Royce O'Neal, Donovan Mitchell, and Rudy Gobert, they've gotten 9 first-round picks and 2 swaps on top of Colin Sexton. So this has been a great offseason for the Jazz. Even though you do right now have Colin Sexton, you do have Bojan Bogdanovic, you do have Mike Conley. Could be a play-in maybe, but I don't have them being good. I see Mike Conley regressing a lot. Same thing with Bojan. Sexton is really going to be the core piece of this rebuild for a while. Then we have the Detroit Pistons at number 24. Cade Cunningham should take a leap after not kind of disappointing rookie year, considering that he was expected to be a stud. He was good, even though he wasn't the greatness that we'd expect from him. They did just get Jaden Ivey, who can definitely make a run for Rookie of the Year this season. And they have a bunch of other young guys, Saddiq Bey and others. So this team could be very good, even though a lot of the teams are really good. Once you get to I'd say 18, or like 17. You have a ton of really good teams, so I just can't put them any higher. Moving on, we have the Charlotte Hornets. Outside of LaMelo, they don't really have much else. They have Gordon Hayward, who's mid, and then really like Terry Rozier, who's pretty good. Other than those two guys and Melo, they have no one. They don't have any big men. Their front court's going to be crippled now that they lost Miles Bridges. This team is just really bad. It's just not in a great situation, and if Melo stays there, he is wasting his career there right now. Moving on, we have the Washington Wizards. They do have Bradley Beal, Kyle Kuzma, Kristaps Porzingis could maybe make a surprise play-in berth. Even though the East is just very stacked this season, they don't have they just have a lot of good teams. Moving on, we have the Sacramento Kings. Have De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, added Kevin Huerter in free agency, and they drafted Keegan Murray. Keegan Murray could be a good pick for them. They could make a play-in berth. Maybe if they get really lucky, they could make a playoff berth, ending that 21-year drought. But yeah, moving on at number 20, we have the LA Lakers. I might get slandered for this pick, and if you do find any of these picks outrageous, then you could argue in the comments. Cool. But really, LeBron, he's only getting older, and yes, that he could definitely prove me wrong. Put up another season averaging 30, or he could drop to 25 points per game, or maybe even 20 with this team. And injuries can hold him back. At his age, he could definitely have an injury that could end his career. Anthony Davis can't stay on the floor, and Russell Westbrook is Russell Westbrook. So you can't really. So there's really nothing else about that. I like the Pat Bev trade. Even though other than that, there's not much. Moving on with the Portland Trailblazers. Damian Lillard will be back and healthy. They drafted Shaden Sharp, who could become a stud. They have Anthony Simons, who's getting better as the years come by. They still have Jusuf Nurkic, who's underrated, and they traded for Jeremy Grant. A pretty good offseason by the Trailblazers. And I think they could be a play-in, maybe even playoff team, depending on how these guys all play out. Yeah, moving on at number 18, we have the Knicks. I think the Knicks could surprise a lot of people and make like a playoff or play-in berth. Because last season, teams anticipated Julius Randle more. The Knicks anticipated Julius Randle to be the All-Star that he was last season. And he just wasn't as good, and he just wasn't good ISO-wise, which is what they need him to do. But now they have a better team surrounding him that he doesn't need to be that ISO guy. RJ Barrett's the cornerstone of that team. He's going to be running all the ISO plays, or Jalen Brunson. So Julius Randle could be more of a catch and shoot guy. Derrick Rose is healthy again, something that really I think a lot of people are sleeping on. The fact that Derrick Rose was not healthy last season, and when he was the season before, he was very good for the Knicks. Still have Evan Fournier, still have Mitchell Robinson. I think this team could shock a lot of people. Now with the Brooklyn, then at number 17 we have the Brooklyn Nets. This could change 100%. They could get worse. They could get better. Maybe Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant just have great team chemistry and just blow up and have an insane season. Even though who knows with Kyrie, he could miss out half the season for just sitting out. Both KD and Kyrie, or maybe even Simmons too, could all be traded. So it's just they're in a very risky situation. It all comes down to if Ben, Kyrie, and KD stay happy, if they play well together, if they play overall. Number 16, we have the Atlanta Hawks. For a lot of you, this might seem kind of low. DeJounte Murray, I'm expecting to not be as good. He was like one of, if not the only good player on the Spurs. So he always had the ball in his hands. And I think he's going to take a step down from that 20-point per game season to maybe like 15 to even maybe 12 points per game. He'll still rebound and have assists for the Hawks, which they could use. Even though Trae Young is still going to be very good. It comes down to guys like Clint Capella, John Collins. Will DeAndre Hunter take that next step? Guys like that, how they'll play, because they need to surround Trae Young, and they have been trying to do that. But DeJounte Murray, I think, is risky, and I think he could 100% take a step down, and and he could also take a step up. Number 15, I have the Chicago Bulls. I know they were the number one seed in the East when they were healthy. I think though, like it all comes down to if they still stay healthy, and hopefully none of their guys will regress. Nikola Vucevic's only getting older. DeMar DeRozan's only getting older. Lonzo Ball's only getting older. Alex Caruso's only getting older. Jack Levine's only. It comes down to those guys, you know. Will they regress? Will they not? DeMar DeRozan's not expected to have the insane season they did last season. Um, and how much will Lonzo and Alex Caruso help this team now that they're back? At 14th, the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors, I honestly could see to make like a conference finals appearance, considering that they do have Pascal Siakam, uh, no, they don't have Kyle Lowry. Jesus, still Fred VanVleet. Scotty Barnes is only going to get better. They have Gary Trent Jr. They have all these guys, and I think they could. I think they're a sleeper team. I think they could make the conference finals definitely. Um, but yeah, the East is just so stacked, so I have to put them a bit lower, and you'll see why. 13, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers. For some of you, this might seem kind of low to me that they just got Donovan Mitchell to go alongside Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. Uh, wait, I think there's someone. No, there's not anyone else. Well, Isaac Okoro, Karis LeVert. This team's great. I think give them another year or two, and they will be one of, if not the best teams in the league. Evan Mobley is only going to get better, but let's wait a year or two on him and see how good he is. Um, Darius Garland still going to be a stud by then, most likely. Donovan Mitchell still going to be a stud by then. So I think in a year or two, when these guys progress more, I think they're going to be amazing. Isaac Okoro is also only going to get better. Moving on, number 12, you have the New Orleans Pelicans. This all comes down to if Zion plays. If Zion plays, this team can win a championship. It also depends on how he comes back. If he comes back obese they just don't play well, then they could be like a with Zion back. Either way, they're gonna be better. Even though if he comes back, averages 20 points a game, they're probably gonna get like a 4 or 5 seed. If Zion blows up like a lot of people are expecting him to have a possible MVP like season, averaging almost 30 a game, like he does in 2K, he could be. The Pelicans could make the NBA Finals. I think so. Without him, they're probably a play-in team, maybe a 6 seed if they get lucky. They have a good team. They have a good team outside of Zion though. Brandon Ingram, C.J. McCollum, etc. If it weren't for those guys and the fact that there's still a playing team without them, they would probably be much lower just because it all comes down to Zion, depending on how good they do. Moving on with the Minnesota Timberwolves. This all comes down to how Cat and Gobert play alongside each other. If you look at this team starting five, it is insanely good. At point guard, you have D'Angelo Russell. Shooting guard, you have Ant-Man. Small forward, you have Kyle Anderson. Uh, Power forward, you have Cat. Center, you have Gobert. That team is insanely good. Um, even though they don't have much depth, and much depth, and I feel like that's something that could really hurt them. Like we saw it with some teams last season, if it was the Bulls or Sixers, where their benches didn't play out last season. That's a big reason why they lost. Because let's say you have an injury to one of your big guys, if it's Ant-Man, if it's Cat, if it's Gobert, then you might be screwed. Moving on at number 10, we're in the top 10 now, we have the Dallas Mavericks. They got Christian Wood to replace Jalen Brunson. There's a lot of speculation of them getting Colin Sexton, which I think would have been a good move for them, getting a Jalen Brunson replacement. I know some people are saying, "What's the point of it? It only gives them another short wing that can't play D." Even though Jalen Brunson was like that last season, he was a crucial part of that team. I feel like a Colin Sexton type guy would have really helped them out. They just really replaced him for Christian Wood. I think this is still a very good team. Even though I don't think they're gonna make the conference finals again. No, they couldn't. Maybe Luka averages 40 a game. Like he does in 2K. He averages like a 30-something point triple double. Moving on, we have the Denver Nuggets. Honestly, a lot of you might have them higher. Last year they ended in the 6th seed. Yes, they got absolutely destroyed in the first round by the Warriors. Even though they have MPJ back, they have Jamal Murray back, they have all those guys healthy again to go alongside Nikola Jokic. This team is going to be great. They could make a conference finals, maybe even an NBA finals, depending on how good Jokic does in the playoffs. But yeah, this team is very good. Could be better than number 9. Who knows? Number 8, we have the Phoenix Suns. I think Devin Booker is the most overrated player in the league. Um, I would have taken like 10 to 15 players over him for the 2K cover, honestly, bro. I think he's extremely overrated. And I feel like I feel like he deserves a bit more hate because like after they choked the series against the Mavs, everyone was blaming CP3 and DeAndre Ayton for having horrible series. Devin Booker did not play good either in those last 2 games. Like he was almost as bad as CP3. And CP3, they averaged around the same amount of points. They put up like 5 to 10 points per game. Not very good. Even though when Devin Booker's expected to be their leading scorer, CP3 is expected to be the passer. He still did that. Devin Booker didn't play his part. I feel like a lot of people are just not really talking, or just cut him slack. Oh, he tried his best, though, crap like that. CP3, I don't feel like it deserves. I feel like he doesn't deserve as much hate. I feel like Devin Booker doesn't deserve as much love. We've got number 7. We have the Miami Heat. Uh, Still a good team. They lost PJ Tucker in free agency, who was a pretty big part of that playoff run that they had. But Jimmy Butler's only getting older. Bam Adebayo is still going to be good. Tyler Hero is still going to be good. But outside of that, who knows how those undrafted guys are going to do? Who knows how that Duncan Robinson, Max Strus, Gary Vincent, who knows how those guys are going to do this season? Who knows, honestly. This team's a mystery. They could do good. They could not. Maybe they'll make a move for KD or someone like that, because there have been tons of trade rumors about like trading away Hero, guys like that. But we'll just have to see. Will Kyle Lowry be healthy? Maybe if he's healthy for that entire Boston series, then maybe they win that series. Who knows? Number 6, we have the Philadelphia 76ers. I might be biased since I'm a Sixers fan, even though if I feel like Harden could definitely return to he doesn't even need to return to that Houston self. He just needs to return, honestly, like to his like Brooklyn self the first season he was there. Where he averaged like 25 points per game and 9 assists. That is what Philly needs. They need passing and a little bit of scoring from him. Maxey needs to progress and do better. Embiid needs to stay as his MVP like self. And they add more depth. They got Daniel House. They got PJ Tucker. How much will those guys contribute? Yeah, will Embiid stay healthy in the playoffs for once? Who knows? Number 5, we have the LA Clippers. Of course, Kawhi will be back. Paul George will be healthy year-round. Without those guys being healthy all year, without Kawhi playing all year and PG being on and off the court due to injuries, they still almost made the playoffs. So this team is going to be great this season. Now, with Kawhi back, PG still there, they added John Wall. Really, the only thing that could really hurt this team is maybe regression, because Kawhi is, like, he's probably around 30 now. Same thing with PG. John Wall's probably around 32. So they need to hope that those guys don't regress. Of course, Kawhi's coming off an injury that he's been out for like a year and a half or something like that. Moving on at number 4, the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies, I think, could win it all this year. As their team was extremely young last season. They ended with the second best record in the league. Maybe if not for a Ja Morant injury, they put up more fight in that series against the Warriors. Even without him, they blew him out one game. And they still forced 6. I feel like this team could definitely win it all, considering that last year they were extremely young and still almost beat the eventual champion Warriors. While now all these guys get an extra year, they get more playoff experience. This team's going to be insane next season, I think, and I think could definitely win it all. Number 3 of the Golden State Warriors. They just won it all, obviously. I don't think I need to explain too much. Their players could regress, though. Of course, they're getting older. Clay didn't look like his old self, even though still, who knows. He could he could still play good. Who knows? Maybe he'll regress even more. Curry might regress a bit. Probably not, even though it's always possible. Wiggins might regress a bit. Probably not, even though it's still possible. Draymond Green could definitely regress. They added James Wiseman. They still have their young guys. Jonathan Kuminga, Jordan Poole, those guys. They're still going to be great. At number 2, we have the Boston Celtics. So you guys might be wondering, my Kip 24. Why did you did you put the Celtics, who just lost to the Warriors, ahead of the Warriors? Well, it's because they did so much more in free agency. The Warriors, all they really did was lose Gary Payton and Otto Porter Jr. The Celtics added Malcolm Brogdon and Danilo Gallinari for basically nothing. I think they had a great offseason, and I think that's why they're number 2. And I feel like they definitely would have been number 1 if it weren't for the Milwaukee Bucks. They would have, I think, easily beaten the Celtics in 5 or 6 if it weren't for the Chris Middleton injury. That was huge for them. They have Chris Middleton. They probably win it all. I'm just saying. I don't think I need to explain too much about this. The only really downsides is that maybe some of those key guys, Chris Middleton, Jrue Holiday, Brook Lopez, maybe guys like those are regressing. But they still have Giannis. I don't think I need to say too much about that. But yeah, that's my list. If you guys can complain about that in the comments. I know I haven't uploaded a couple days. I'm back in school now, so I don't know how much it'll affect my upload schedule, if at all. I don't really have a set schedule. I just upload whenever. Even though they might not be as frequent, I'm still going to upload YouTube Shorts whenever I get a shiny in Pokemon Go, stuff like that. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, please like, subscribe. Lets me know if you like this type of content. It really helps me out, and it's free. But until then,